So, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's ODTN use case steering team call. And as you know, we have the agenda. Please add your name to it for just recalling purposes. And today I'm just going to start by asking Bill if he could update us on the state of the ONF Connect proposals and how we're doing on that front. Bill, how many proposals do we have? I guess Bill cannot hear us, so I guess we will defer this for later. I think we had 4 proposals last time, maybe a couple more came in, so I think we're good on track, and they will be sent to the reviewers pretty soon. So next is the state of TAPI for phase 1.5 to the state of TAPI 2.1 for phase 1.5. Bill, you back?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
No
the minute
problem.
you asked me the question, my phone died.
No problem. I was actually asking what's the state of the ODTN proposals on the ONF Connect event.
I would say so. Overall, for the all for presentations, we've done pretty well. There's like 75 of them, and then on the ODTN side, I think there was maybe 6, something like that. So I think it looks pretty good.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And just a quick thought: is there anything you see missing that we should have over there? Any major presentation that you would have expected and it was not there?
Okay, so I'm actually looking at them now. So I'm wrong. We have 4. We have same 4 that we had last time that we talked about it, I guess. So, so probably we'll have to talk about it and see if we want to ask somebody to add a talk into the curated portion.
Okay.
Like, as we announced, is right. There's both curated and uncurated sections of the track. So.
Guys, anybody here that didn't submit a proposal and wants to submit one?
Dominique speaking from Nocabel Labs. Yes, we have a proposal to submit. I still need for the deadline, but we still need sometimes to synchronize internally. But the plan is to really submit a presentation proposal to be for this ODTN session. If it's not too late, yes, we would like to have some couple of days extension for that.
Can you give us an idea of when that can happen, Dominique?
Hopefully by end of the week, if it's not too much.
Bill?
And
yeah, we really should have it by the end of the week. I mean, officially we closed on Sunday, but we would like to certainly have his presentation. So yeah, if we can get it in by the end of the week, that would be perfect.
Okay, I'll make sure that happens.
Because we're already doing reviews across the team, so we don't want to bring it in too late.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Andrea is Stefan Finera.
Hello, Stefan.
So yeah, so I talked to you that there's something that we would like to propose in the CFP. I need to write it down and send it to you. It will be like when you come to the TIP summit, we go and do something on the ODTN. So I would like to do something from the Facebook TIP in the ODTN.
Ah, okay, yeah, no, that would be interesting. No, most definitely.
Yeah. So joining the force of multiple group and standard like the Facebook tip, we need to align a little bit more on what the ODTN is doing. ODTN need to align more on what the Facebook tip is doing. So and we want to go and talk about the open device, open ONS model, and how we try to integrate the TAPI inside this thing, all the stuff that we're doing on the TAPI and bring it up to the network element model.
Okay, if you could submit it you also by the end of the week, that would be great.
Okay.
And also we can talk about it more at TIP in October. So I think that would be good too. Okay. Anything else on this point?
Andrea, this is Hiroki.
Hello.
We'll send the. Hi. I'm sorry. Today I have some internet connection error. But we'll send a proposal. Mainly about the collaboration with Steve Cassini and any other related things. But if possible, we can send the proposal this week. But if we can't, maybe in the next week we'll give a proposal.
Okay, let's get it. Let's try to get it in by this week.
Yeah.
If we're not, we can discuss possible possibilities after that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bill, anything to add?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Thanks for that. Great. So next point up on the agenda is the state of TAPI 2.1 for phase 1.5. Last week we commented that there was an issue that was not enabling us to do the demo, to redo phase 1.0 in current ONOS master. I submitted a patch that worked around that issue. Hiroki, were you able to test the end-to-end on your side with the patch?
You mean the part you part? Is there anything newly patched except for the part which is merged to the master?
No, the patch I mentioned is not merged. Is not currently merged into master. It was that patch stemmed out of the discussion we had. Me, you, Jordan, Hamano, if I'm not mistaken, from NTT, around the not having the data, the DCS issuing events. And
I'm sorry. I've not tried the patch.
Okay, that's fine. Then maybe I'll send it out again to you and a few other folks and ask to try it out, because it seems that at least on my environment it works. So I was wondering if it enabled you to make any progress on updating TAPI to TAPI 2.1 in ONOS. That's why.
Yeah, that's great. I'll try it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, and I know also Jordan from ONF is currently working on fixing at the root the issue of the tree not sending the events, and I'm currently coordinating with him also to make sure that is done. So, okay. Okay, so I guess we can move over with the issues raised by Arturo on the Open Networking TAPI GitHub. Arturo, do you want to give us some context on those?
Yeah, actually I post these two, but I think that only the 353 is the one that is more relevant to be discussed here, because the other one is more related with the TAPI structure, and also we have been going into it during the call on TAPI that we had 1 hour ago. So I will go for the 353, yeah. Here, basically, my concern is that right now I don't see a way to specify, let's say, connectivity service constraints for the validation of the physical impairments in the OLS media channel creation. So basically what I propose, and maybe it is short, it should be maybe completed more with more parameters and so on. It was the proposal to include some receiver sensibility parameters or constraints based on the receiver sensibility parameters of the transceiver. So based on the, let's say, partially disaggregated model where our ONOS will request the creation of a network media channel into the OLS controller, my concern is that you don't have way to express constraints for the physical impairments validation of the connectivity service that you are requesting. So my proposal was to include some parameters regarding the OSNR tolerance in the receiver, and also the output power that the minimum output power that needs to be received by the receiver, by the transponder, in order to guarantee the transmission. Well, it's something that is open for discussion. It is yet not, let's say, completely defined, but I wanted to introduce this here in order to understand that, well, if everyone or anyone else has this same thought than me, and if it will make sense to have this included in TAPI or not. So, anyone has a thought?
Yeah, actually, Stefan, we can continue the discussion that we had before in the TAPI call, and I can start it back with. So when we look at the OLS, if I need to be able to go and pass a constraint, and the constraint that you have is what is your transmitter capability and what is your receiver capability. So you need to be able to know a few things, like what will be your what will be the launch power that you can have in terms of a maximum value and minimum value. So the range of your launch power for the transmitter. You need to be able to know what will be the encoding, the modulation that you will be using. You need to know what would be the what is this value? The OSNR that you are normally sending. So your signal, you have another van OSNR. So what is the OSNR that you are sending your signal? From the receiver point of view, we need to be able to know what is the acceptable limit of the receive power. That means the minimum and the maximum. And also what is the OSNR that you need in order to be able to decode a system at a specific quality. When we have those constraints, that give us the OSNR penalty that can be evaluated in the network. So if I know that information, modulation, OSNR, signal range that you can go and use, then we can go and evaluate which path we can go and use in the network. Because the network, we do a PSE evaluation to see what is the penalty that would this kind of specific signal when going through a path will incur. So what is the OSNR penalty that we get in this transmission line using the specific route? So you need to have information about the characteristic of a transmitter and a receiver. And when you have information in the constraint, then you can go and evaluate the appropriate NMC path.
Correct, completely agree. That's why somehow I was thinking that this information was missing in TAPI. Do you agree with this?
For sure, it's not there yet.
Okay.
Because it's penalty. So when we look at say phase one of a system, I can say, oh, I'm doing a proof of concept. I need to be able to go and set up a signal. We should not bother with OSNR penalty for now. It should be later on that we introduce those things. This is because we'll need to go and define all the parameter, put that thing in the connectivity services. Is it worth it to do it and demonstrate that in phase 1.5? From my opinion, is this can be later on because it's much more advanced system. Requesting a transmission system where you have a listener penalty that you need to add, no more than that. That's for a long haul system. In the metro network, we don't even bother with that.
Yeah, I
Like
understand.
Open RDM, they don't bother with that. Like, okay, yeah, you will be able to reach the endpoint.
So if I'm understanding your point, Stefan, is that you're asking to defer this to a later stage of TAPI and ODTN?
Oh, yes, for sure. If you are able to go and request a TAPI, we do a connectivity services for an MC in a to an SDN controller that control the OLS, and this one is able to go and retrieve a path, give you a path, any path. That would be very great. If you do, if you have this service request and you can send it to the SDN, we're not dependent of the structure of the domain. It can be a mesh network, and the PCE will go and calculate the path, and we will have a path at the end of the day. That's pretty good.
Absolutely. My concern is, okay, I mean, maybe it can be soon to, let's say, make this valid for a long haul transmission, but I was thinking that it was maybe worth to explore the possibility to include these constraints already in the TAPI model for this release. And okay, maybe we will not use it right now in the ODTN in the phase 1.5, but this is something that for sure it will be needed in the future. If your concern is that maybe we don't have this model for the physical impairment validation mature enough in order to be included in the TAPI, maybe I agree. It's something that maybe it is not possible to maybe do it in a couple of weeks for the deadline that we have in TAPI for the closure of the TAPI 2.1. But I was thinking that, well, maybe we could start an approximation on that. But anyway, for sure.
It will be based.
Also, but if you have some proposal, maybe what I would suggest is, we don't know actually how it's going to look or how complex or not complex, right? If you think it's fairly simple enough, it's just a matter of adding 1 or 2 attributes on some, say, link or something. It's easy to do, but just need some proposals on how it is, what we need to add and how it can at least be used. Then we can definitely put it.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. It just depends on what it is.
Yeah, it's all related to when you pass the connectivity service, you need to pass the constraint associated to the transmitter and the receiver. It's just that. It's just that. The thing is, I would like to consult with the PSC group that do the impairment. They are building a tool to evaluate the impairment of in a network, in a transmission network for a long haul system. And I would like to consult with those guys to the value that we'll be using will be in line with what they are thinking.
That's perfect. I mean, I would like to, if we can make a proposal for this and send this proposal to this group and have this, let's say, validation from their side that the proposal that we are doing for the modeling in TAPI is fine. I mean, I will go for including it in this release. I mean, I can maybe try to make a proposal, maybe let's say a grouping in Yang of the parameters that I consider that it could be for this use case. And maybe we can attach a small slide with the system that we are having in mind. And based on that, maybe we can pass this information to this group in order to confirm with really experts on this that what we are proposing is fine. I mean, I know about the complexity of this, but my perception is that the validation of the physical impairments is hard when you go into the let's say evaluation of the individual components of the OLS. So you need to take into account which is the noise figure of the amplifier. You need to take into account many let's say modifications of the signal that are happening within the OLS. But considering it as an end-to-end system, as you have mentioned it before, Stefan, I think that it would be valid to just include for the intent. I mean, I'm not saying that it is not something that they can, I mean, the OLS can tell you, I cannot support this, or I cannot maybe validate this, or even they can tell you, no, this proposal that you are doing is not correct. But for the request itself, I think that this should not be so hard to specify which is the list of parameters that characterize the signal from the transceiver and the reception in terms of the validation of the physical impairments. As you have mentioned before, maybe just with the transmission power, transmission OSNR, and the requirements in the reception, as maybe this is what I was adapting a little bit to include it in the issue or not. That is the validation of the coherent dispersion and PMD and second order PMD. This is maybe something much more complex that maybe we could avoid to enter somehow right now, but it is also something that we can propose and try to verify with them.
Yeah, it's basically I listed the base parameter is your transmitter capability in range, and the modulation type that you're using, and the receiver and the OSNR that you transmit, that you launch, and the receiver is the acceptable OSNR, the range of input power that you support, and that's mostly it. Those are the constraints. They are constraints from transmit, constraints from receiver.
One question, Stefan. Do you think that is necessary, the modulation format of the signal?
Yes, because I have a different penalty if I'm doing a 16 QAM than an 8 QAM.
Okay.
It's a nonlinear impairment. It's
okay, fine.
Okay, guys, I would do this. If possible, we can. You guys could continue this discussion offline. I think that Arturo, the right way to go is that Arturo, you make a proposal to the TAPI team with the set of parameters, maybe in the YAN format, however you guys prefer, and then you and the TAPI team evaluate it if to put it into 2.1 or 2.2. One request that I personally would have is not to delay the release of TAPI 2.1 just for this.
yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay. Well, just to mention today in the call that we had for TAPI for the evaluation of the rest of the issues that they were open and so on, we agree on delay the release of the TAPI candidate, TAPI release 2.1 a couple of weeks. And personally, I think that is necessary because there are too many issues open that they have not been even discussed in the calls for a lack of time. So I think that at least this couple of weeks will be necessary. But I do agree that maybe for this specific point, we could try to have this discussion as soon as possible. I will try to make the proposal tomorrow, and based on that, if we end up with a conclusion or an agreement on the next topic call, fine. Otherwise, maybe we can defer this point to the topic.
Guys, I would like to make a little bit of a point, not to put any pressure on the TAPI team, but the release is getting rescheduled a little bit too much, in my opinion, in the sense that I know that there are a lot of open issues, but it was initially scheduled for mid-August, then it was end of August, then it was mid-September, then it's end of September, and now it's mid of October. So in my opinion, it's getting delayed a little bit too much. So
you know what, Andrea, it's like we get issue like this thing about like OSNR. It's like, oh, we know that's the question of a constraint in the connectivity services. We should, yes, but do we need that right now? No. Like we had discussion about the threshold for an alarm. People want to have that because they want to do a POC, and we get stuck with that thing in 2 meetings to discuss. It's a loss of time. We need just to go and get the base model there. And the thing is, like, every time we go and get, oh, people want to go and discuss this issue, then we lose time. I want to discuss the base issue, the basic issue. So
my suggestion would be put it out and like get the open requests that are there right now and say, okay, we have like, I don't know, these 10 open requests. Say we're not accepting any more open requests for 2.1. These are the 10 we're going to discuss. And out of those 10, like, okay, threshold for alarms, really not needed in 2.1 are release. We can do a 2.1.1. Go away. Like everything else which is not related to the base model, which is the new concept that your guys are putting out here with phase 2.1, should be delayed to a 2.1.1. Otherwise, as you said, you kept getting issues and you never released the 2.1 release. So my take is that if possible, it still should be done next week. So in a week from now, you're gonna get the release, if possible. But I'm putting this to you, and I'll let
yes.
you guys decide.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I agree with you, like Andrea. Like, yeah, I heard your comment, and I'll put it on table again. We are discussing TAPI again on Thursday. Maybe we can Thursday, which is like 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Eastern, so it will be 5 a.m. Pacific. Very early for you guys, but maybe we need to look at it. Look at this point.
Karthik, can you send me the invite for that? Yeah. I'll try to join.
Yeah, I'll send you the invite. Yeah, I'll send the invite to this mailing list too. Yeah.
Okay.
To ODTN.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it's good to discuss it on Thursday and maybe have a final decision there on what issues need to be discussed. Discuss them on next Tuesday, and by next Friday releasing it, which would be Friday of October. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should be okay. Fine. Yeah. We should be good. There will be bug issues which we can say will be fixed in a bug fix release.
Okay. Great. That's perfect. I think there was still the TAPI request discussion. We agreed on having a two requests that was done last time. Last time we did defer these 2 points to this week because there was no Ramon nor Alessio from the Metro project, which are mainly working on this. Ramon, can you give us a bit of an update on the state of the TAPI to intent translation you were working on?
Yeah, there is not much update because in fact we are working on stages, and the problem that we are addressing now it's the open config service provisioning. Our idea is that it needs to work using optical intents, and once this works, we will move to the TAPI. Also, the fact that as you've seen in the mailing list and you commented a while ago, the DCS and the TAPI NBI is right now in master not fully working. By the way, we had the audit last week, so we could not work on this at all. This prevented us to work in TAPI because we are not really into atomics or the complexity underlying the DCS. So we postponed this aspect until the system is stable again. I'm not expecting this to be really complex. We just need to map TAPI SIPs to ONOS ports, basically, at least for what we try to do. But we expect to have a working ODTN again in where you have your topology, your transceiver is discovered, and your ports have a UUID as Hiroki did. So, well, yeah, it's ongoing. So then, for the open config, we sent an email, a couple of emails a while ago, several weeks ago. I'm aware that Arturo is working on it. He sent a proposal, but in short, and I'm afraid this is going to be a bit recurrent on the next weeks, for at least for this action point, until we have a design document in where the steps to do and the hypothesis to do the port discovery and the service provisioning are not clearly outlined. We're blocking here. As you know, other than the patch that you have regarding that protocol independent storage that you're working on,
Yes.
what it is missing here, we have a workaround for that. You know, it's our cache, but it works for our purposes. But until we have a clear idea of what does it mean to transform a flow rule in terms of optical channel to open configuration, this will be blocked. You're well aware of this, so I'm not saying much. So I'm hoping that vendors will progress with regard to what Arturo sent. We really need their input. Otherwise, we could assume things on our side, but it's not realistic. I don't know if last week I wasn't here. Sorry, Arturo. Yep. Go ahead.
Last week there was a bit of a discussion about that, and we agreed that for the ports, I put it somewhere. You should have your own index for the ports. Expect your own tagging of the port, and expect it and have the class with the power characteristic of the ports, the class of the ports be tagged by the OpenConfig driver on the device, and that be asked by ONOS with a specific tag that I struggle to find.
Yeah, I think Arturo was proposing some kind of class to the port that basically the class with 2 or 3 attributes could define the flexigrid, that kind of things.
Yes.
The grid that you're supporting. Yeah, it is not the index and the type, because this is old. Index is what we did a while ago. Okay. So, well, basically we need to close on this. On the one hand, this needs to be final so we can implement it. So maybe I need to go through your slides to see what was the final agreement, because it's not. And then if we have this, then we can implement. You know that I have a patch in Gerrit that it's on hold, waiting for this. So if we can close this, I'm expecting at some point we have OFC deadline. But anyway, I could update the patch with the implementation of this. But it would be great if we could have some document where this is clearly outlined.
Okay, I'll make sure to do that. I've after last week I've put it in the document, but I'll make sure to highlight it better and to propagate it.
Yeah, or even send it also to the mailing list. Sometimes I'm missing things.
Okay.
A big disaster, but it would be nice if you could have a summary on the mailing list. So yeah, this is something we discussed with Arturo, using operational modes. In fact, the idea was to have operational modes predefined, where you could have already your modulation format, your FEC, everything predefined. I've seen an email on the mailing list mentioning that maybe you want to do this on a per channel. I'm still unsure of that approach, but in short, I don't want to hold a lot of time. This is still not clear to me and deserves much more discussion on the mailing list or elsewhere. Otherwise, we're not progressing. I don't know if Arturo is here. Yeah, Arturo, I want to ask you with regard to what we discussed, let's say 1 week and a half ago. What was the final?
My take is I made this proposal to OpenConfig. The discussion is open, but it's not likely to be closed soon. So there is not a lot of chances that this is going to be standardized for the way we have or we are thinking here. So then my take is we can evaluate separately the proposal that I made and include the values that I propose as, let's say, proprietary properties of the line ports that we have in.
Yeah, I would suggest that we move forward within ODTN with this proposal, regardless of standardization status, which we know which much is lower. So I would suggest that we go on with your proposal, if you can close it with what you said last week. And
Yeah,
start
then
from
maybe I would let's say take it. I will read everything that I receive, the comments that I received from it, especially since Jutta was the one that had
Yes.
mentioning, and then the idea will make to basically to propose a list of properties that can be attached to the specific component which identifies the line port. My only, I think that I already discussed this many times, but it is still not clear to me if these properties should go in the optical channel component or in the line port component. My take is that they should go in the optical channel component.
Yeah, we tend to disagree with.
Yeah, I know, but it's like the meaning of the port in OpenConfig, sorry, is basically just a hardware slot into the chassis. So somehow it does not identify any properties of the signal that is transmitted, not even the hardware that is plugged into that slot. It's basically just defining a slot in the card. So I don't think that it's very much the place to do that. But okay, it's something that we can discuss all together here.
This would force you to have a predefined line of optical channels already existing. No, it would be like a. Anyway, I don't know. It's not.
No,
Stefan speaking. In OpenConfig, the channel is the transmitter. That's the one that supports the wavelength. That's their definition. When you look at the model that they have proposed, channel is the transmitter.
Yeah, I agree, Stefan. If I'm not mistaken, it has the wavelength and the power, and these are attributes of the channel. And then you have the operational modes, which is 16-bit. So the idea to me was that the operational mode holds everything else, and when you instantiate the channel, you use one of the given operational modes. That was a bit the discussion.
But the operational mode can be something that represents what you support.
Yes, exactly. But it would be something that you tack on the port basis somehow.
Yeah, that's an operation mode is to say this is the mode that I have. Go read my documentation to know what the parameter that I support.
I agree, and it would be something that I consider it should be attached to the port as attribute of the port, and Arturo thinks it should be part of the optical channel. It's also a possibility, but I don't see how it fits in the model. Anyway, we need to take this discussion maybe offline, but it requires digging in the OpenConfig model.
Yeah, I agree with Arturo. My point of view. Sorry. Go for it.
I was thinking, Ramon, why we could not, let's say, map the port concept in ONOS with the optical channel component of the port in the chassis, in the platform model. This is my question. Why we could not? That I mean, even if you have several optical channels attached to the same line port, because there is a single slot and entity that is transmitting several channels, if we take these ports, let's say these optical channels as individual ports in ONOS, I don't think that we will have any problem. I mean, you just have this optical channel configured in the system, because basically it's something that is present related to line side transmission, and then you include the properties that identify which is the frequency tunability capabilities that a laser transmitter, whatever you want to call it, has for the tunability of the frequency. I mean, if you are, let's say, tuning the frequency in the optical channel, in my opinion, it makes sense to introduce the constraints of the tunability of that frequency in the optical channel and not in the port.
My concern, I don't know if we have time, was that I saw the optical channel as some entity that you create dynamically, and that had this leaf, which is the frequency, the target output power. It had the operational mode, so when you instantiate, it's a leaf. So when you instantiate the optical channel, you specify which of your operational modes you want to instantiate, and then it has a leaf ref to the line port. So basically, when you instantiate the optical channel, you also pass over which line port you're instantiating that specific optical channel. That was my concern. And then I don't know how these can easily represent the tunability, because it would mean that you have like optical channels existing in the device without being attached to a given port and without one specific operational mode.
They always are present. The transmitter is there, the channel is there. So it's not something that you go and create. It is there. It's a characteristic of the model. I have the channel. They are there. The transmitter is there. That's what we call it. The OTSI is present. That's our channel.
But this is, we discussed this, and one of the questions was whether it could be assumed that optical channels were already pre-created, and well, at some discussion maybe we mentioned no, or the agreement was no. If you say that the optical channels are predefined, that solves a lot of things, because basically for a given port you already have your channels established, so the tunability of your port are the channels that are there.
Yeah, from a transponder point of view, yes, everything is there. Everything is, you don't create things. Everything is there. I have my transmitter. So I go and I read the capability, and what I do is I set the target power and I set the channel, the wavelength.
Yeah,
So we have. Okay.
Sorry, Ramon. I will go for the version of Stefan. My concern is that I don't have the 100% certainty that the creators of the model, let's say the OpenConfig people, is their intention is exactly this. But as far as I saw, the implementations that I saw and everything, this is the common way to understand the model. So the optical channels are there, and they are.
That's great. That's great for me. It was precisely, if you remember, one of my questions, and maybe we didn't know the model well enough by then. But yeah, I asked, can we assume if the optical channels are pre-established? And my feeling was that no. So if we go back to these and the optical channels are already in the device when you start ONOS, that can change things significantly and simplify things.
For the transmitter, they are there. For the line system, the ULS, they are not there.
No, I just care about the OpenConfig terminal device right now.
Yeah, terminal device, they are there. And you have example. You can go and ask some of the folks that work on the OpenConfig transmitter. Look at the model that we have on Infinera. You will see if when you read it, you have the channel.
Then it's a good point. If we agree on this, we can move forward, because it means that during the port discovery of the ONOS, we can query on a per port basis the instantiated. I mean, we query all the optical channels such that their leaf ref to the port is the port that you're querying, if you understand what I'm saying. And then we know that you can have one or n, let's say just one, and then somehow the tunability of that channel is implicit by the operational mode that that channel has tagged. Is that correct?
Yeah, it could be that, or we can even add these properties that define exactly the grid and the adjustment granularity, for instance.
I agree.
Okay, then that's moving forward. I can work on assuming that the optical channels are predefined, and at least we can move on with the lambda query discovery. That should give us what kind of lambdas do you support for that operational mode, and what else is missing? Basically, when you instantiate a service in ONOS, it means that you end up just filling the power, which we don't know it yet, but and the frequency that ONOS has selected, right?
Yeah, there is also an administrative state, I think that is called in the line port that allows you to turn on and off the laser, I think.
Okay, that would be great if the more we can document, the better, because when we implement, we like to have clear specs, but I think it's clear what we have now.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
port this to our presentation, this presentation in particular, so everybody knows about it, and I'll send it out for review probably tomorrow, and so we can agree that these are the points, and people can add to it and comment on it. Is that okay, Arturo? Did you have anything to say?
No, yes, I will say simply that we could make this proposal, and I would like that the vendors included in the ODTN verify this, because they are at the end the ones that are implementing it.
Can we assume for now? I'm also implementing like let's say a reference implementation for research purposes, but it's fine. Can we agree that there will be at most one optical channel right now, or do you want to go that we can have multiple optical channels for a given line port?
I will not constrain. My catch here is that I will represent a line port for each optical channel present in the system.
The problem is that it may render things much more complex when we integrate with ONOS optical device model. In short, the port that we're connecting the line card towards the, for example, Open ROADM or whatever, it's tagged in ONOS and as an OCH port, and basically it assumes one channel. And this is what it's working now.
And it assumes one channel because. So why does it assume one channel?
It's the OCH port, and it's something that it's tagged as it's created as a port, and well, it comes from. I inherited this. It comes from the optical model that ONOS had in some wiki, and I don't remember.
Yeah. No. Okay.
And basically, you establish an optical connectivity intent between transceiver ports, means from OCH to OCH crossing OMSs. It means that, of course, it's feasible. The amount of work that we would need to make this work would be significantly higher.
Please go ahead.
No, I will say, I mean, the model in ONOS is OCH port, and the representation in OpenConfig of an OCH port is the optical channel. That's why somehow I think that the correct way to go is there. My catch is that if you take into account that multiple optical channels in OpenConfig can go through the same line port, what you are basically defining is the line port is something more like an OMS port than an OCH port.
Yeah, definitely. It would become a DWDM port with multiple channels. No, we are aware. But since there are terminal devices that are able, muxponders or whatever, that are able to multiplex on a given line card multiple optical channels, of course, this is real. The problem is if we just adopt the OpenConfig feature that basically allows you to have multiple optical channels on a line port, that would be straightforward for OpenConfig, but it makes things way more complicated, at least in my little experience, ONOS wide when you want to do the end-to-end provisioning. And anyway, I would start with one. Personally, my implementation would start with one, and later on we will see if it's straightforward or not to generalize it. But one, it's already a good milestone to have.
Okay.
By the way, in TAPI, we support multiple NMC on a port.
Definitely, no, it doesn't matter of it should be supported. It's a problem of when you get all the machinery and you check what's done already on ONOS, the limited efforts of software development in ODTN, and what it would be required to make this work. Of course, if you consider super channels or multiple NMCs or whatever, nothing prevents you from having multiple optical channels in that port. I agree. No objection from my side. It's more a practical aspect.
Okay, yeah, I agree with Ramon. I think we should start with one, see what the current model is, see its limitations, and then move it to multiple when we have a clear, better understanding and at least a working improvement and a working state for this.
I agree.
Okay. So on this, I will port this discussion with the things I wrote down to the presentation, so it has an agreement. Ramon, I think you can go ahead and start do your work assuming these things, and I will keep you updated on the cache I'm working on. It's getting a little bit delayed because I wanted to discuss it with Carmelo also, because he has a very similar thing.
I saw the patch. Also, let me mention for my specific, and I think Alessia is also in the same boat. We have the OFC deadline on October 9. So basically, researchers are working like crazy to have a paper ready. It limits a bit to our time to do this. So expect a few days / weeks. And by the way, I take the opportunity to mention that if there is any demo proposal that does not make it to the ONF Connect, I mentioned this a while ago, but it's still relevant. OFC demo zone, it's still a very nice place to demonstrate this. There is a session for this, and the submission deadline is October 9. I think it's just a 2 or 3 page description of your demo, and then you have time to deploy it. I'm aware that there will be demos related to ONOS and ONOS extensions, but I'm not sure we will have any demo from ODTN.
So yes, that's a good point. I personally wanted to make a demo proposal for ODTN at OFC. I just need to basically write it down, and I will try to do it by next Tuesday, which is the 2nd of October, something like that, 3rd of October. And so I can send it out, and we can maybe agree as a ODTN about this proposal for the demo, and I can submit it, and so we can have a demo for ODTN from ONF at OFC.
That would be very good, and coming from ONF, it has large chances of being accepted. We will be ranking all the demo proposals at some point during the Washington meeting, but I mean, I encourage you to do that.
Yes, we'll do that. I'll do that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just Andrea, from Telefonica side, if you like, we can also contribute to it.
Okay. Thanks, Arturo. That's great. And I think Hiroki, can I assume the same from NTT? I guess so. Okay. I'm having an internal on the last 2 bullets. I'm having an internal discussion on the configuration document with inside ONF. I asked Jordan Halterman to provide his thoughts on this, since he is distributed system expert, and in general how to implement this with a proper store. And he's currently in the process of creating an implementation proposal out of our requirements and the configuration document that you see down there. I will share it with this group as soon as it is done. I think we will expect it in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Unfortunately, in the next few weeks, there is a lot of things going on, and I will be traveling a little bit in the first 15 days of October. So that's just to mention. I think we can still keep this meeting at all the 3 weeks in the next 3 weeks, but if not, I'll make sure to signal everybody that the meeting time change. Okay, if not, I'll make sure to port the discussion we had today in the implementation document, the implementation presentation. I will create the OFC demo proposal and send it out as soon as possible. And Arturo, please create those set of parameters proposals for the TAPI group and submit it to them. But let's not hinder too much on the TAPI release, and hope to get it done by October 5th. And in the meantime, also, Ramon, please start your work on the OpenConfig device implementation of the flow rule programmable, given the assumptions we discussed today.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, thanks everybody. I'll make sure to fly the emails and share everything else, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.